Remember when I said that I was going on hiatus and that I wouldn't be making any new videos until the end of February? Well, although I've never considered myself a news channel, sometimes things happen in the theme park industry that are just too freaking interesting to ignore. And that's exactly what happened on February 1st when Bloomberg posted an article stating that SeaWorld Parks Entertainment had made a $3.4 billion bid to take over Cedar Fair. Good day, everyone. My name is Parker, and in today's very unplanned episode of Theme Park Parlay, we're going to get to the bottom of exactly what's going on with SeaWorld's offer here. And as always, I'll offer my own personal thoughts and opinions on the whole situation. This is going to be a very interesting conversation. So without any further ado, let's talk theme parks. Let's start off by going over what we know. SeaWorld made an unsolicited bid to buy Cedar Fair for $3.4 billion, or $60 per unit. Cedar Fair has confirmed that they are reviewing the offer, as they are legally required to do, but of course, they have full power to turn it down if they want. And that's all we really know for sure at this point. Now, bids like this aren't as rare as you might think in the theme park industry, or any publicly traded industry really. In the late 2019, Six Flags had actually made a $4 billion bid for Cedar Fair, which was obviously turned down. But that actually brings me to the first point that I want to make about all this. I've seen a lot of people say, well, if Cedar Fair turned down Six Flags' $4 billion deal, they're obviously going to turn down SeaWorld's deal because it's so much less. But if we take a closer look, you'll see that Six Flags' offer mostly consisted of stocks. SeaWorld's offer is all cash. So although the bid is $600 million less, the offer is a little more stable and definite compared to what Six Flags had put on the table in 2019. So let's say Cedar Fair decides to go for it. What exactly would this mean for the two chains? First of all, I think it's important to make the distinction that it's not entirely clear whether this deal is a complete takeover of Cedar Fair or a merger between the two companies. If it's just a merger, I can't imagine much would change from the guest experience side of things, as we'd more or less have the same people running everything. Cedar Fair would just have to report back to SeaWorld higher-ups, kind of like 21st Century Fox and Disney. Either way, it's still important to take a look at how SeaWorld runs their parks. By the way, SeaWorld Parks and Entertainment is so much more than just, well, SeaWorld. Yes, the chain owns the 3 SeaWorld properties in Orlando, San Antonio, and San Diego, but they also own Busch Gardens Tampa, Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and the Sesame Place parks, along with a few water park properties and Discovery Cove. The one thing that has always stood out to me at any of the SeaWorld parks is their focus on a holistic theme park experience, something that Cedar Fair parks seem to have been working towards over the past few years. All of the SeaWorld parks have excellent theming, and they do an amazing job at creating fun and immersive atmospheres, and they're all beautiful and well-kept parks too. Just look at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, which is often considered to be among the most beautiful parks in the world. And there's no shortage of thrills either, with standout coasters like Iron Gwazi, Mako, Griffin, Montu, and many others. I also find that these parks offer a lot of other experiences too, whether that be animal exhibits, character interactions, play areas, festivals, or shows. Animals aside, SeaWorld offers some phenomenal entertainment across their parks. Overall, I've always seen the SeaWorld and Busch Gardens parks as a sort of stepping stone between the destination parks like Disney and Universal and other regional parks. And even Sesame Place, although it's much smaller in scope, is still a very special and unique place for being one of the few theme parks out there that are certified autism centers. Of course, we can't ignore the controversy surrounding the captivity of whales and dolphins, something that I'm sure will be on the general public's conscience. I personally do not condone the fact that they have these creatures, but I'm also sympathetic to the fact that SeaWorld has been taking steps to move away from it. Yes, these animals should not have been kept in captivity in the first place, but if they were to be released in the wild, their chances of survival are quite low. So, SeaWorld has halted their breeding program, and the orcas they have now are the last cohort they will ever have. We also have to remember that SeaWorld does a lot of good. Their rescue and rehabilitation programs are integral to protecting and saving marine wildlife, so you can't completely villainize them. Anyways, I don't think SeaWorld would add animals to any of the Cedar Fair parks, but it is a possibility. Some Cedar Fair parks actually did used to have animal attractions, like Lion Country at King's Dominion and the Saltwater Circus at Canada's Wonderland. But no, you're not going to see dolphins at Cedar Point or anything like that. If anything, you might see a reptile exhibit in Jungle X-pedition, or, I don't know, snow leopards in the Ornate section of Worlds of Fun. Overall, I think the deal could be a good thing. Both SeaWorld and Cedar Fair have a lot to offer each other, and since both companies focus on offering holistic experiences in addition to thrilling attractions, they would mesh together quite nicely. Now, I know another major concern that people have is competition, or rather, lack thereof. Competition between theme parks and chains is generally a good thing. It pushes parks to improve and offer better attractions and experiences that win crowds over. This merger could take some of that away. I think people are also worried that another Geauga Lake situation may arise, and for those of you who aren't familiar with Geauga Lake, that's a story for another time. But the Sparks Notes version is that it was this huge theme park in Ohio that Cedar Fair purchased from Six Flags. Unfortunately, the park closed for good just 3 years later, and many people speculate that Cedar Fair did it on purpose so they could eliminate the extra competition with Cedar Point. With parks like Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and King's Dominion being so close in proximity, I don't blame people for raising a few eyebrows. But honestly, I'm not concerned. Just look at Busch Gardens Tampa and SeaWorld Orlando. They're just as close together, and yet they coexist and thrive with their own unique identity and character just the same. And now comes the golden question. Is Cedar Fair actually going to accept the deal? Well, like I said, there are things to be gained by both companies, and there are pros and cons on both sides. SeaWorld has been doing really well lately, seeing record attendance numbers in 2021, and things are looking good on the stock market. Cedar Fair did take a big hit during the pandemic, especially compared to other theme parks, but as of 2021, they seem to be thriving. But when all is said and done, I don't see it happening. I think Cedar Fair will want to continue doing their own thing. And despite everything I've said in this video about how these two companies would work well together, at the end of the day, they're very unique chains, each with their own style, strengths, and weaknesses. Like I said earlier, bits like this come up all the time, and although I would personally be okay if it happened, I doubt Cedar Fair is itching for a dramatic shakeup like this. And I'm happy with that too. Anyways, what do you think? Do you think Cedar Fair is going to accept the deal? And how do you think things would change across the parks if they did? Comment below and let me know. Anyways, if you would like to see more theme park discussion videos, plus theme park, travel, local, and outdoor adventures, you might want to consider becoming a subscriber. Like I said, I'm currently on hiatus until the end of February, unless something else crazy happens between now and then. But I did just launch my merch shop and Patreon page. At Adventure Outpost, you can find a wide range of clothing, accessories, and other products inspired by the channel, theme parks, travel, attractions, and adventures. And on Patreon, you can support me for as little as a $2 a month, and I'll be using that money to help grow and improve the channel, and to help pay for some of the overhead costs involved in keeping the channel alive. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter, where I share photos from past adventures, theme park news, channel updates, and more. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, the adventures are calling. Behind me is Sea Lion and Otter Theater. Blech.